All right. Today we've got Angela Chambers, and we'd like to welcome her to the show. She is the owner of Mercer Bradley, a recruiting firm right here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and is an FCPA and the owner of two little furry friends, Buddy and Baxter. Welcome to the show, Angela.
Thank you, Kate.
It is a Friday afternoon. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to join us because I know how busy you are. Can you explain a little bit? Because I have clients in all different industries, and some of them I know what they do, and some of them I have no clue. So you would fall under that no clue category. Perhaps you can explain what you do in a day and how you got into the industry that you're in.
So I am an accountant, the FCPA. I'm a chartered professional accountant, and the F is the fellowship of the chartered professional accountants, which is just an honor or acknowledgement for hard work and contributions to the profession.
It kind of
So
means you're bigwig, doesn't
no,
it? No, but it means you're very experienced
it
and in your field for sure.
It's yes, and it is an honor. So I had an accounting career in the past and made a bit of a switch and started recruiting accountants. So now I find other accountants jobs. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm working with clients and accountants who are looking for new jobs and basically being a matchmaker. And I have a staff of 3, and so we work as a team and make magic.
So if I wanted to switch gears and suddenly become an accountant, I would just go see you and you'd find me the perfect job.
Something like that.
That will never happen for the record, but that's good to know that you offer that service for anyone who is in that industry. So, on the daily basis, are you spending most of your time in an office, meetings, on the road, phone calls? Like, what does your day look like?
So primarily I work from home now, post COVID. I spend 1 day a week in an office with my team, but my day to day is typically on the phone and on Teams meetings, basically all day long,
Yeah,
nonstop.
so you get to talk to lots of people, which makes me
I
even more happy that you took the time to talk to us today.
talk to lots of people.
And I know you are pretty diligent with workouts. How do you fit those in with such a busy on the go schedule?
I do them first thing in the morning. Otherwise, it's too easy to push off and be too busy. And just instead of taking the time for my workout, blocking an interview or a meeting or something. So I find if I do them first thing in the morning, usually sometime between 6:30 and 7, I start. Then they're done and I don't have to worry about it or think about it or feel guilty for either not working or not working out.
All right. Not that anyone should ever feel guilty for the choices they make in their life, but it is a really nice setup to be able to do your workout first thing and kind of have that energy take you through the day. I myself am an early morning worker outer, and I find that I'm later in the day if I don't do a workout first thing that I miss it. Like there's just something that's a little off, or and it is harder to get to it later in the day for me as a morning person, just like yourself. That being said, for those of you who work out in the afternoons or evenings, if that's your schedule and that works for you, there's no better time of day to work out. Whatever time you get in your movement is a great time, even if you split it up into multiple small segments. So you mentioned the pandemic and how you've had to kind of switch and work from home. Has that affected at all your training schedule or your workout schedule?
A little bit. It's different. So when I was working in an office, I worked downtown and I was a member of 2 different gyms in particular that I went to do classes. I didn't really work out in the actual gym, but I really enjoyed participating in classes. So I would often work out at lunch or right after work. When I was in an office, I was not a first thing in the morning worker outer. If I
Interesting.
if I was working out in a gym, if I was going to a class, if I was at home, I was. Um, so I would often go out at lunch, but because I had to register for a class that held me accountable to going, so that was easier to manage. When COVID hit and the gyms shut down and I ended up at home, um, I was able to get additional equipment. I already had a little bit of a setup at home, but managed to get more weights and a bench and different straps. And I think I bought a TRX at that time because I enjoyed TRX workouts. So now I basically have a full setup that I can do whatever I need to do at home. And during COVID, I did virtual classes when I could.
Yeah. So you still managed to get that class aspect with an instructor and maybe the somewhat social aspect of being with other people, even in a virtual sense, but with the
Right.
convenience of having the workout tools right at home.
Correct.
Yeah, good for you for finding a way. There was a shortage of equipment for a long time because
Mm.
everybody wanted to get some. And then the online classes, there were some, but then a whole bunch more rolled out. So good for you for finding kind of a balance in there. Do you miss at all the in-person experience? And have you gone back to that a little bit now that things are a little bit more back to normal?
I've gone back to it a little bit, but I find that because it's harder, it's more work for me to go to a class from my home than it was from my office. From my office, it was basically across the street.
Yeah.
So it was very convenient to go to a class and come back. Whereas now for me to go to a class, I have to pack a bag and get in my car and drive somewhere. And that sounds ridiculous, but I'm far too lazy to spend my time driving to go to a class. So I do go to some, but not as many. I manage to do stuff at home.
Yeah. And lazy is not a word I would use to describe you in any sense. I feel like everything that you've accomplished indicates that there isn't a whole lot of laziness there. But I think the part that maybe resonates with people who are very busy is the convenience piece and just having to make an effort to take the extra time to get to a class versus having everything at your disposal, being able to get up and just kind of do your workout without having all that travel time. So
I
good
like
for you for finding a
efficiency.
balance. Say that again, sorry?
I like efficiency. So it's
Yeah,
inefficient to drive to a class.
yeah. And there are lots of hybrid options and facilities that are offering virtual options and in-person options depending on the person and their preferences at that moment. So that's good that you're able to kind of maintain a routine even though it had to shift back and forth through the last couple of years. Do you have a preference in terms of a type of workout, like a certain circuit or a group format or any of that that kind of jumps out that you really look forward to?
I like circuits. And I think mostly because I find that they push me a little bit harder. So like I like a hit circuit or a cardio circuit. That's something different that I don't do on my own. So those classes I find are like I'm a puddle by the end of them. I work harder.
You wouldn't do a hit workout on your own? Weird. I'm just kidding. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term, HIT is just high intensity interval training. It's just a little acronym, and it's very popular over the last few years, that acronym. But interval training is not really anything new. High intensity intervals where you are sweating and turning into that puddle by the end of it, mixed with some rest intervals and some breaks, depending on how the class is set up. If you had to choose a favorite exercise that you look forward to doing, if it's in your workout or you go to a class and the instructor says, we're going to do this, is there something that you're like, okay, yeah, I love this, I got this?
I like chest presses.
Really? Okay.
I think I like squats. I think because I do so many of them, it's not I find it okay.
Yeah.
And I like doing slider lunges.
Okay. So slider would be like a tool that you can use under your foot that helps you to kind of extend into a further range. For those of you who might not be familiar with that term, and slider lunges are a lot of fun. They make you feel like you're skating or skiing. So who doesn't love that? Chest press. So that would be any kind of push-up variation. Like you love
Yeah, I don't
long.
mind push-ups, but chest press with the TRX probably
Oh, the
is
TRX
one of my
specifically. And you did
favorites.
mention
Yeah.
that as a tool that you like to use. So
Yeah.
TRX being a brand of suspension straps that you can hang from a ceiling anchor or in a doorway. Hundreds of exercises that you can do with that type of system. Chest press is your favorite. I always hesitate to ask this question, but do you have a least favorite exercise? One that you maybe dread a little, even if you know it's good for you?
You know this side plank.
Side plank. I know side plank isn't your favorite, but it was a toss up between that or something that where you had to balance.
Oh, that was my second one. I
Okay.
was side plank was my specific, and my backup was or anything that I have to balance.
Okay, see, and I knew it would be one of those two, but I wasn't actually sure because some days it seems like you hate one more than the other, and it's hard to know. Balancing exercises, yes, I throw those in for most of my clients because balance is really important and highly underrated, actually. And side planks, we've worked around it. We've given you some other work to strengthen the sides of your core. So, do you have any favorite workout music? So I know you're a big music lover and you like to do different playlists for different occasions and seasons. Do you have something that if you know you turn that on, your workout is going to go really well?
Um, I like anything that makes me happy, so it doesn't have to be even like really upbeat, but if it just makes me feel happy, I like.
Okay.
I like Pink a lot. So if I were to pick like really specifically, I would pick anything like songs that have attitude. So like Pink or Madonna or
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, cool. And Madonna, I think, is going on tour soon.
I
So
she is. I know.
that might be on your radar as
So
something.
is Pink. Pink's on tour.
Of course, yes, good call. And we know you like to travel, so let's say maybe you do make a travel plan to go to one of those concerts because I don't believe either of those artists are coming to Winnipeg anytime soon. With all of your travels that you've done in the past, do you have one or two places? Because a lot of people are getting back into the travel scene now that you would recommend. Let's say someone had a week off and they didn't know where to go. What would you suggest?
Oh, so for a week, I would say I just got back from Nashville. I was in Nashville in December, and that was amazingly fun.
Okay.
Um, or Vancouver is always a nice place to spend a week.
Yeah,
And
perfect for the outdoorsy people that like to get out and go for hikes or nice walks along the ocean. Fair enough.
and I visited the East Coast for the first time last year, and that was amazing. So I
Yeah.
would recommend that as well.
Okay, I like the Canadian options. A lot of times people only think of international options, but I like that we've got the East and West Coast covered there with the travel ideas. So, is there anything coming up in the near future for you, either work-wise or professionally, personally, that you're excited about?
I just booked a trip to Italy, so that's
Oh,
coming in
see,
April.
that goes right in line with the travel. And I just said you're all about the Canadian travel, and here you are taking off for a nice international vacation.
Yeah.
So it's nice that you've got the flexibility with your work to be able to do those things, but also we know how hard you work to be able to squeeze in all the things that you do along with taking care of your health and fitness. Thank you so much for joining us today, Angela. It was a pleasure to have you join us on the show and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, you too.